And we're back. And our discussion point is focused on Jackie a little bit because she's our guest, but also because one of her podcasts she does is related to my coffee or my mug right here. I don't know if you can tell from the audio, from the video listener or watchers. We're going to be talking a little bit Walking Dead. And this is also because New York City Comic Con just happened, as we mentioned in the news. But we have this, and The Walking Dead had their panel at Madison Square Garden in their theater. So, and I guess they showed some clips, or they showed a teaser. Whoever died is to Rick's left.
No, to Rick's right.
Or our left.
Our left,
in there,
Rick's right.
They exited
so
stage left.
If you watch the film right, it goes down and to the right.
Back into the left.
Back into the left. Back. I'm so glad we all get that JFK reference.
Really?
Yes, especially
isn't that what that is? Yeah.
Oh,
it's Seinfeld.
I thought it was episode 1. Never mind.
Oh.
I'm teasing. Go ahead.
Like, all right, maybe you guys don't get the JFK.
No, I completely get it. Now, first of all, you do a show about The Walking Dead. What is the show called, so that people can find that?
Don't bother, honestly.
No,
I'm serious.
No. Not the show you're on.
Don't bother.
So here's the thing.
Not the show you're on, but the show you do it.
No, even that. Honestly, the thing is it was like my first sort of venture into podcasting after trying to attempt to do one on Breaking Bad, but that I started the Breaking Bad podcast 3 weeks before the show ended. So I was all ready to do a Better Call Saul. I have one on Better Call Saul called Lawyer Up, but The Walking Dead is a podcast I do. The podcast I do is called The Walking Drunks, and each of myself and my co-hosts, we start off by talking about what beverage we're drinking, and it's just a bunch of pals, and we make fun of the show. And my main co-host is Ryan Alcott, better known as Mega Vortex in the Diamond Club world, and Tom Along of Lloyd, and then we picked up some other people. So we ended up with 5 co-hosts. We had DJM, David Majors, and also Charles Rubach. So it's endless. But whoever, basically it's a party. We talk about the show whenever we want. We don't necessarily record every week. But yeah, so we just love making fun of Rick Grimes. And we've even got a segment where we said, what the fuck did Rick just say? Because there's very often in many of these episodes, Rick will say something, usually to Carl, and you can't understand what he said. Like there was one scene where he was giving that the Reverend Gabriel, Father Gabriel, some food. Carl was, and he said, "Do you have any food?" And he said, "I've got some cunts." And apparently he was saying pecans, but everybody heard, whatever. I shouldn't say that.
Playing out there.
You said you're not family friendly, right?
Yeah.
No, you're good.
And the whole point is just because there's so many podcasts on The Walking Dead. There's 16,000 of them, and I think we're rated like, if you look on iTunes, I think we're number 37. So to me, that's victory. No.
It's also how many sexual favors that some people have done in their lives.
There you go. It could be, but no, for the new season, I guess with this Comic-Con, we're getting to that. That's the main point. I'll make my point really quick so we can move on. I guess they're teasing who died, who did Negan kill, and if you read the comics, you probably have one view. But as you know, Robert Kirkman has been saying we want to get back to the comics as much as possible, but not always, so you never know. So in my without saying who I think really it is, I will say that there are maybe 3 real possibilities, and that's either Glenn, Abraham, or Daryl. And I have been saying, even though I really like Norman Reedus, I kind of hope it's a Daryl, because I think that would spin that show so crazy. People will go nuts and whatever. Just make it nuts. Make the show absolutely nuts. I think that's the best thing that The Walking Dead can ever do at this point. I mean, how many people can you kill off? Everyone is going to die. You know?
And it would take some balls. It would take some honest bravery, because the common conception has been, you know, kill Daryl and we riot. Kill Daryl and I stop watching the show.
Then. Yeah.
He's the most popular character. He's the one that everybody wants to win The Walking Dead at this point. He's the only one who hasn't been broken. Yeah, he's the only one who hasn't been broken to the point of like he hasn't gone personality wise to like shift and then shift back. He hasn't turned heel like a fucking wrestler from the 80s. He hasn't like grown. He's grown since he was introduced in the very beginning, but he hasn't like, oh, this week I'm tough, and this week I'm a little bitch again, and then this week I'm tough again. This week I'm gonna kill people when I find them, and then next week it's like, oh, I'm not gonna do that anymore. The Rick switch, or even they've done it to Carol, which is really disappointing, because Carol was, you know, she grew to a point where yes, she was the most badass person on the show, but she earned it. She earned every fucking step of it, and then to back
and
her
now
down,
they're pulling her.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a problem I have with the show, is that there's a consistency problem with a lot of TV shows, and I see it on Fox shows and Fox movies probably a lot more than anything else. But some of these shows, you can see when they're growing long in the tooth, because they stop realizing who the characters are, and they just write the characters for the story as opposed to writing the story for the characters. And I think that's kind of where I lost out on the show. The other thing is I just was tuning in to see who the fuck died this week, and I'm not a fan of snuff films. I've made a couple in my life, but I just think that it's pretty piss poor that the most interesting thing I can say about your character is wanting to see them die. And I don't like that. And so I tuned out, and my wife was like, I was already at the point where I wanted to quit, but because it was something that my wife and I watched together, I was like, okay, I'll stick it out with you. And then when the whole thing was happening with like, Glenn's dead. Oh wait, Glenn's not dead. The fuck? We were just like, we were done. We were done together. Now, this past couple of weeks, she caught up on it on Netflix, and now she wants to record it again. But I know that it's her watching it now. It's not me. So I don't even have to be in the room. She can watch it on her days off when she's doing art in her office, and that's great.
You're not even going to watch?
No, I'm through. And when I hit a moment of that with a show, like Greg will tell you, when How I Met Your Mother was on, like the last 2 or 3 seasons, Glenn Rubenstein was like, okay, so they're going to finish off the show in a season. I'm like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm out. And he's like, you're not going to just stick it out to see the last 2 seasons when we actually get the real? No, they fucked this show hard. I don't want to come back and just get raped again. I'm sorry, I'm done. I
will say though that I kind of
they're
bringing in another comic character, another kind of world in this world. So I will stick it out to see what happens, and I'm not going to give any spoilers. If you've read the comics, you know. But I'm kind of interested in seeing that different approach where we're not just, you know, like maybe it's not just them every season running into some horrible cannibalist person, and you know, like I'm kind of interested in seeing how that plays out. So I'll give it at least another half season, or I probably will go longer, because I enjoy hanging out, having a beer with my friends, and making fun of it and recording a podcast.
Yeah, I come at this, I guess, from the liking it the most out of the 3 of us point of view. Because I watched the show, then I started reading the comics, and now I'm up to date? Maybe not read the last one. It with the comic, and it was one of those things. Like, one, I never say, like, and I did this once on a Facebook post of like, oh, I liked how you can model this whole episode, like the episode where Rick is going through like PTSD or he's sick or whatever, with him and Carl, and it's mainly about Carl, and it's like you could pull frames out of there from the TV show and make the comic the 2 issues that it was based off of. I said that, and I got ganged up on like, it's nothing like the comic. I'm like, I'm not saying it's like the comic, you jackasses.
Yeah.
I'm saying they take moments. Like ones I can think of right off the top of my head. The reveal of Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. They model it exactly after the comic, exactly after the cover.
Right.
They do all these moments that they hit, that they match it from the comic, and that is great. And also, with reading the comic, I'm like, okay, I see the general direction that they're gonna go.
Yeah.
But I don't see which
gonna...
highway they're gonna take.
Right. Exactly. I do like that. I mean, who would want to have read the comics and then see everything played out, exactly the way they've already read it? Why would you even watch it?
Well, I mean, at the same time, the first season of Preacher, you don't know it going in, but it kind of takes place as sort of a prequel to where the comic starts. And a lot of people who were fans of the comic had a big problem with that. They had a big problem with, and there were certain things that absolutely, if you're like, I believe the characters should be portrayed this way, and they start doing things that don't seem right because of, we've got the years and years of having read the comic books, and they never did that in the comics. But they established something that was different, and you have to place these caveats in there as like, we can't just retell the comic. We can't just retell that story verbatim. We can't do that with Game of Thrones. We can't do that with Walking Dead. It doesn't work. As great as it would be to transfer the comic directly to screen, that's going to lose some viewers because they're like, well, I already know the story, or it's not going to transfer correctly because they're completely different mediums. And what works in a comic, especially a black and white comic, is not going to work the same way on screen, and you shouldn't want it to. And you can't expect every actor to stick out as long as they need to for it to be. You have to have surprises, and you have to have room to grow, and you have to have room for change. And I think that's something that people we say we want it to be exactly like this, but then when it happens, we really don't.
Right.
So you're not giving us what we want. You're giving us what we tell you we want. And that's sometimes the audience is wrong.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree. You couldn't have said it better. Definitely.
That's usually how Corey does it. I had something I was going to say, but then I got distracted because JF said a comment. I'm like, I got a question for him, but he's not the guest, so he can fuck off for a second.
Well, go on to another thing. I could talk more about The Walking Dead or not. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I don't need to. What I'm saying is hit whatever you want. I'm loving this discussion. I'm having so much fun on this podcast, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I remember what I was going to say, and I will save the question for JF, and I will give Dave Dave can make that recording. But so the one thing that I will be upset about, because with the death in the comic book that they're alluding to with this, I would be interested if I'd be pissed if they don't cover that on Talking Dead. If they don't cover, the Greg Nicotero talking about how they're doing it, because to not give away spoilers as to who dies, but Negan goes fucking Gallagher on their head, and their head is a watermelon. So I want to see how they're going to do that. And all that. And I honestly don't know how that is going to be possible. Or actually, I'm curious to see how they're going to do that with the blend of the post-production and what's Greg Nicotero creating and his crew creating as a prosthetic and, all that stuff.
I think if they show that, then you will actually they'll go behind the scenes on how they've done that. They usually do.
Yeah.
On AMC.
Yeah.
Like particularly when they had all those water zombies, they really went into detail about how they made those, and also the progression of the zombies and how they're walkers. They're getting more deteriorated. They're falling more apart. They're decaying more as the story moves along, which is good too. But so
and as checked out as I am, I really do admire the production on the show. And the originality of like, we're not just doing one type of zombie, and they have thought that process through of like how far along they should be and the differences. And I think that is truly amazing. I don't want to act like the show doesn't have a lot of compelling reasons why people should watch it if it's your thing and if you can handle it and you don't have a weak heart like me and prone to like tensing up every 5 seconds of like, don't you fucking touch Maggie, I will break your ass.
Right.
Then yeah, it could be a great show for you. It stopped being a great show for me. But it's still
I think
a really
it's just
good
kind
show.
of run its course, you know,
Yeah.
And all great things need to come to an end at some point. But yeah, so I don't know. I just
I've had enough happy days, you know, and I'm sorry, but Fear the Walking Dead is Joni Loves Trachi. I didn't need it. I don't want it. Doesn't make
So
things
what
better.
would be Mork and Mindy in this situation here?
The Walking Dead in
What
space.
spin-off would what Walking Dead spin-off would have to be Mork and Mindy in this situation?
I mean, it probably
it's
very
not Fear the
for a
Walking
zombie
Dead, I'll
set
tell you
up
that.
Yeah,
I'm
no, it's
sorry.
not. No, go ahead. You're right.
I can't stand Fear the Walking Dead. I watched the first half season of the first part only because of doing the podcast. And there are other people who wanted to talk that in my little like I said, I have 5 co-hosts. Some of them wanted to talk about it, and I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not getting involved in Fear the Walking Dead, and I have not, you know.
All right, so I'm not going to be a pro, and I'm going to mention the chat because I love Brandon Raymond's response of Rick and his phone. That is the Mork and Mindy spinoff. Is Rick and his phone?
What? That needs
okay.
You can explain that to me later. I don't really, but you know, I don't get that.
In the prison when he was he had his mental breakdown.
Oh God, yes. I'm sorry.
The phone.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Those oh God.
I thought it was really interesting that when he's talking to nobody on the other end of the phone, that when he goes to hang up, he says "nanu nanu." I was blown away by that. Shuzbutt, girl. Shuzbutt.
Honestly, that was about the time I started doing the show, The Walking Drunks, and it was because it was so much fun to make fun of that. You know, I mean, there's just so much to do, you know, that can be said. So I feel really bad because there's so many great, really, really great Walking Dead podcasts out there. The Walking Dead, or the Dead Cast is one of them, I think, with Jason and I forgot her name already because it's been so long since I've listened. But like they really do their research, and like don't listen to my podcast unless you want to listen to a bunch of knuckleheads get drunk and maybe finish the show.
Well, you got to understand. The thing with podcasts is some of them are informative. Yeah. Some of them are entertaining. Some of them are based on the personality of people, and some of them, like us, just exist in a fucking vacuum. But
no, you guys,
people listen to your show because they like you and they like the people that you're doing the show with. I think that you hit a point where you realize, okay, this is no longer about The Walking Dead. This is just like hanging out with my friends every week.
Right. So all 4 of our friends watch the rest of the 5 of us. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. But
4 doubles our viewers.
Shut up.
No, hey, Corey, no, we got 5 right now, dude. We got 5 right now in watching live. I don't know if it's they're counting Jackie and you.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm still excited. Thankfully, oh God, I will be so glad once we get done with and I quit seeing in my feeds, my news feeds. Oh, it's like who died or who could have Negan have killed in The Walking Dead. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
I don't care about your goddamn petition on them re-editing the thing or giving you something because you can't wait 5 minutes.
Right.
God
yeah,
damn.
Again, don't give the fans what they tell you they want. You know, you're leading this charge, and if it blows up in your face, it blows up in your face. But own that. Just fucking own it. And,
that's why I say
kill
Daryl. Kill Daryl because.
Yeah, and I've heard. Okay. So this is one other thing I will share, and it's the theory that my former coworker gave me. So there will be spoilers. Or, no, there won't be spoilers because I don't know anything. But he said that he thinks there's gonna be 2. It's gonna be Glenn goes, and then Abraham goes, and then Glenn reacts in such a way that Negan's like, all right, you too, fucker, and kills him too.
Interesting.
Sort of thing. Yeah. That's what I heard him say. I'm like, that makes sense, but it's safe a little bit too, because, you know, one of them died in the comic book and all that. And it's like,
one of them should have been dead. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean,
No, it was flipped.
The timeline.
Yeah, it was Glenn and then Rick is how he said it.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, Rick's not
Abraham.
going anywhere.
Yeah, Abraham is who I meant.
Well, yeah, Rick was Abraham was supposed to like the. Well, I see. I don't know how much your viewers want to hear comic book spoilers, but there was a storyline with someone else last season that died a particular death, and that was supposed to be one of these characters we're talking about, and that didn't happen. So I'm not gonna,
yep.
You know, but honestly, my biggest prediction is that episode 1. You know, and I hope I'm wrong. Episode 1, I don't think is going to start off picking right back up with Negan. It's going to start off with this: what is Morgan doing? What is Carol doing?
Just be like, hey, all you people who hate us, yeah, we eat on that. We're hungry for it. Bring it on.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think that. I think it's because it's one thing that a lot of the shows have been doing is
do it that way, honestly.
Go to the other side. So I think it could very well be, where's Negan been in all this stuff recently, and then the end will be him swinging Lucille, or probably know where Lucille's been. So we just see it's a lot of shots of her up against the side of the wall in the trailer, or whatever, and then Lucille comes out and brains Glenn or whatever.
You know, at the end of the day, as much as everybody complained, like they didn't show it, they built up all season, they told us it's going to happen, and they didn't show it. Everybody has talked about it. Everybody has their theories about who it is. It has been water cooler talk off and on for the entire postseason to the start of this season, and people are jumping up again with their theories. And I think that that's exactly what you want to have happen for the show. It helps keep it relevant when maybe it might have lost relevancy, because people care. You know, whether they're angry, whether they hate you, whether they say they'll never watch again, they're talking about you. That means they give a shit, and you've done something right.
Right.
Yep.
Well said.
All right. Exactly.